Before the video starts, let me break down what you can expect in this review. 1. I will talk about the plot or the story of the episode. 2. I will talk about the things that I like. 3. I'll talk about the things that I didn't really care for. And 4. I will give the episode a score out of 10. Also, spoilers. With that being said, let's get right into it and break down the actual episode review. Hey guys, Tanner here, and welcome back to another one of my unscripted LEGO Ninjago Season 8 episode reviews. Tonight we'll be talking about episode 76, which aired yesterday here in the United States, and as we always do, we're just going to go through this beat by beat. I'll tell you guys a little bit of information about the plot of the episode, and then as you saw in the intro, I'll go into talking about the good things, the bad things, and of course giving my final score out of 10. This episode I thought was a lot better than the last one, just starting off the review here. Again, this is an unscripted review, so I hope you guys did enjoy, or I hope you guys do enjoy this one. The last video, I asked you guys for a little bit of feedback regarding this new format, and a lot of you seem to really enjoy it. So we're going to go ahead and stick with it and keep on keeping on, and we will get through the entirety of Season 8, and we'll keep on doing these reviews as we go along. Alright, so just starting off talking about the plot, we start off where the last episode left off. Lloyd is chasing the princess. She doesn't, or he doesn't know it's the princess. Of course, he does find out, and we find out that the princess has a little bit of a midnight hobby, I would say, of feeding the homeless people around Ninjago City. So a very kind action there. And she has a little bit of a heart-to-heart conversation with Lloyd regarding the whole being a princess versus doing your own thing scenario. So that that pretty much sets up Harumi as like this deep, caring person. But of course, as we find out later on in the season, it really doesn't stick. I'll just say that. Then, out of nowhere, the Sons of Garmadon show up and start bullying the small children around the area. Lloyd tries to do something about this, but he is interrupted by Samurai X, who shows up and fends off the evildoers herself, because we all know who the Samurai X is at this point. Next up, we have Lloyd and the princess getting found out by Hutchins. He comes out of nowhere and he's basically like, "Hey, Lloyd, she doesn't have time to be doing all this sneaking around nonsense. She needs to be a princess." And I think this really does set up Hutchins as like a father figure to Harumi. We'll get more into his character later on in the review. We cut to the next day where the ninja are training, and Lloyd is talking about his involvement with Princess Harumi. We know that he has a thing for the princess, and we pretty much can infer that the princess feels the same way. And the ninja are just like giving him a little bit of slack for that, which is what the ninja always do. They're always teasing each other and whatnot. We then cut to Harumi's parents, basically telling her off for interacting with Lloyd instead of staying safe inside the palace. Lloyd is there, of course, sneaking around because he is quite the creepy gentleman, as we discussed in the last review. Hutchins finds Lloyd and basically tells him to go elsewhere and stay away from the princess. Then we get a little bit of an introduction to Ultraviolet, who is in a movie theater. Some Sons of Garmadon members are trying to, I guess, talk to her about the possibility of meeting up with Mr. E, who we know to be another member of the Sons of Garmadon. So that pretty much sets up Ultraviolet's character, as well as, I guess, expand on Mr. E and the Sons of Garmadon as a unit. We then cut to the ninja keeping Palace Watch. We saw in the last episode that they started doing this, where they're basically protecting the royal family from the Sons of Garmadon, especially since they want the Oni masks, and the royal family is in possession of one of them. We cut to Cole climbing a wall, and this part's really cool. He has a flashback to not the pilot, but even before the pilot, of his first interaction with Master Wu. He basically expresses his concern about his dad and the fact that he lost someone. It's not really inferred who, or it's not really explicitly stated who Cole has lost in his life, but I think we can all, it's safe to say that he did lose his mother, so that is quite unfortunate, and we don't really find out anything else. But we do see Cole, his motivation. He actually does really want to find Master Wu, and that sort of builds up his character for this episode, and hopefully Cole will remain in this sort of built-up state throughout the rest of the season. But moving on with Cole's scene, he does see Hutchins, and he decides to follow him because he is, suspicious, as all of the ninja are suspicious of what Hutchins' true motives are. He goes down underground where Hutchins went and finds a lot of explosives. He immediately radios the ninja, and the ninja basically go full-on panic mode, and the rest of the royal temple, or whatever, the rest of the palace, goes on complete lockdown as these Sons of Garmadon attack. Quite a coincidence, I would say. But they are, of course, looking for the mask, and they do have a fight with the ninja. All of the ninja participate in this fight here. We see some awesome interactions between Kai and Nia as they take on Ultraviolet. Same goes for Zane and Lloyd when they take on Ultraviolet themselves. And of course, they all team up to fight Mr. E, who is trying to take the Mask of Deception, and in order to do this, he puts on the Mask of Vengeance, grows an extra set of arms, and basically fights all the ninja at once. So this is pretty intimidating, seeing Mr. E with the mask take on the ninja, as a unit. So I guess this pretty much expresses how powerful these Oni masks actually are. He does steal the mask. Turns out it is a fake one though, as Hutchins has the real one because he did not trust the ninja guarding the real one. So he sort of took it on himself to sort of hide that mask away. But now he does trust the ninja because of what Lloyd and the others have done. So he gives the mask to Lloyd, and he and the princess make a getaway. They get on a motorcycle and they just start driving away, trying to get out of there. Ultraviolet is in hot pursuit, and eventually they do, face off for the mask. And it really doesn't go well for Lloyd, as Ultraviolet does in fact receive the mask, as she steals it from Harumi, and they start chasing Lloyd and Harumi on the motorcycle. They eventually get away though, and they drive to the Destiny's Bounty, which has sort of been broken down. It's sort of out of commission, but Lloyd boots it back up, and they go pick up the other ninja. They fly to the wreckage of the palace, and they see that the entire thing has been completely destroyed, more or less. We do find out, unfortunately, that the royal family, along with Hutchins, did not survive the encounter. So right away, we're setting up this sort of dark tone for season 8. Even in the second episode of the season. The ninja decide to take Harumi in and make her one of their own, and they swear revenge against these Sons of Garmadon for basically killing Harumi's parents and Hutchins, of course. So that pretty much wraps it up for the plot of the episode. Pretty good story this time around. I really did appreciate that, and that is a nice segue into our talking about the good things, that I liked about this episode. So the first thing I'll mention is the Lloyd and Harumi dynamic. I think this is awesome. I love the way that these two characters play off of each other. Of course, we know how it ends up down the line if you've seen the season already, or if you just know everything that happens in the season like I do. But we know that really doesn't stick. The action is really awesome. Season 8 seems to be going with a more realistic approach to the way that things are done, and I'm going to immediately contradict myself by commenting on how Spinjitzu looks in this episode, because we did see a little bit of it last episode, but this episode we see some new techniques, such as Zane spinning upside down while performing Spinjitzu, which is really awesome. The villains have actually been established this time around. They usually are, but in Ultraviolet's case, we get a little bit more insight, I'd say, as to what her character is all about before she actually gets in on the action. Something else that I noticed, I mentioned this before, but the darker theme of the season is definitely established here, with them actually, killing off 3 characters: the Emperor, the Empress, and Hutchins. And if you've seen the rest of the season, you will know that they do not come back. So as of this point, they are pretty much actually dead, which is kind of unfortunate, but I do like how they're sort of setting up the darker tone, as I said earlier. Cole RX is back. We saw that during the ninja training sequence. Cole does retain his RX powers, and he does indeed have his scar. So that was something that we were all curious about, and it's pretty much confirmed to be sticking around, which I do appreciate. Speaking of Cole, the flashback sequence with him and Master Wu, way back when before the pilot, and we actually see that in this episode. That was awesome to see. The old designs are coming back. I mean, they're not coming back, but I love how they're sort of integrating the old designs in with the new designs. They're sort of keeping a continuity. So I really do appreciate that, and I think we will be seeing a few more of those flashbacks throughout season 8 and also into season 9. So that's awesome. In terms of things that I thought were pretty poor or things that weren't really executed in the best way, I mentioned before how the characters being killed off was like a good thing, like it established a darker tone. However, I felt like they killed off the royal family and Hutchins without really putting any, I guess, support into their characters. There wasn't really any development that we can see. They were sort of just established and they were killed off. So if they don't actually come back, that does kind of feel like a waste of a character. Maybe they'll come back in season 9. Who knows? Ultraviolet, I'll say this right now, but Ultraviolet is probably one of the most annoying characters that I've seen so far in this season. Not to say she's just bad, she's just sort of loud and obnoxious, I guess, for the point of being loud and obnoxious. She was written that way, and I understand that, but I think it could have been toned down a little bit with her character. Maybe the rest of the season will go ahead and sort of set her up as a more serious character, a more serious villain, perhaps. But as it stands right now, I don't think that's going to be the case. Overall, you guys, this episode was a big step up from the last episode. I really did appreciate this episode for all the reasons that I listed in the things that I thought were good. Of course, it's not perfect, as everything can be improved. But this episode I'd say was pretty good, and I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. as my final score. So that'll pretty much wrap it up for my review of episode 76 of Ninjago. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up rating. And as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button, guys. It really does mean a lot to me. But I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks again for watching, guys. My name is TannerFishies, and with that, I bid you farewell.